Hello and welcome back to Cooking by Zoe. This tutorial is on how to make raspberry lychee macarons. This raspberry lychee combination goes very well together, adds a sweet and tartness to this macaron. There's 3 different methods on how to make macarons. There is the Swiss, the French, and the Italian method. And in this tutorial, I'll be using the French method. I'll be using the same base recipe for the macaron cookie shells. For the buttercream, it'll be flavored with lychee with a hint of raspberry, and the center is a fresh raspberry jam. Here I have listed all the ingredients that you'll need for the macaron cookie shells. Again, this is the same base recipe that I've used previously. This is measurements in grams. I'll post the measurements in cups in the description box. Make sure to pulse or blend your almond flour and powdered sugar for about 20 to 30 seconds and then sift them. This way your macaron cookie shells will have a smooth top. Start by whisking your egg whites under speed number 4 if you're using a stand mixer, and then you're going to add your cream of tartar, which is completely optional. Cream of tartar speeds up the process of making the meringue. Continue whisking your egg whites on speed number 4 until you start to see these tracks. Once you see these tracks, you're going to add in your granulated sugar. I like to add my granulated sugar into 3 separate portions, just by eyeballing. When you have added in all of the granulated sugar, change the speed of the whisk to number 6. When the meringue mixture reaches a soft peak, add in the powder or gel food coloring. This is a type of powder food coloring that I'll be using. These are available on Amazon. You'll want to continue at speed number 6 until a stiff peak forms, as shown in this video, then stop. Next, add in the mixture of almond flour and powdered sugar. Add in half of this mixture, fold and mix as shown in this video until all of the dry ingredients become wet. Then you'll add in the rest of the almond flour and powdered sugar. Now that all of the dry ingredients are wet, we're going to start the macaronage process. This process is to release the air bubbles. What you're going to do is you're going to press the batter against the bowl, and then you're going to scrape the bowl on the side and at the bottom, making sure to check between each time that you do this that your batter is either ready or not. You're going to continue the same process until your batter is ready. Your batter is ready when it is ribbon-like as shown in the video, and if you form a figure 8, the batter will not break. Once you have reached this consistency, do not fold or mix the batter further. Remove and place the batter into your piping bag. Make sure to get your baking pan and baking mat or parchment paper ready. I like to bake my baking pan upside down. I find that this actually cooks my macarons better. Pipe your macarons, holding the piping bag 90 degrees, and squeeze the desired amount that you will like your macaron cookie shells to be. While I was filming this tutorial, I actually ended up making 2 batches of macarons batter, so you'll notice that in my video, I'll have some large, some medium, and some small macarons. After piping, bang your tray or drop them onto the counter about 3 to 6 times until all of the air bubbles have been released. If you notice any air bubbles on your macaron shell, you can use a toothpick or a bamboo skewer to remove these air bubbles by blending in the macaron batter. Allow the piped macaron shells to sit at room temperature for about 15 to 30 minutes until the shells does not stick to your fingertip. If you find that it's taking too long to do this, you can also use a fan to blow at your macaron cookie shell to speed up the process. If your environment is a lot warmer, it does take longer, so using a fan will definitely speed up the process. Bake your macarons at 310 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperature and time will vary depending on your oven. I've listed the time that I baked each of these different sizes of macarons. The larger macarons I baked for 15 minutes, the medium size 13 minutes, and these small ones were for 10 minutes. Let your macaron cookie shells cool completely before removing them from the baking mat or parchment paper. My recipe on the macaron cookie shells make full shells with no hollows. Now let's make our raspberry jam and our buttercream. I usually make this while the macaron cookie shells are sitting out to form the shell and baking. For the raspberry jam, you'll need 1 cup of blended fresh raspberries. You'll need a mixture of cornstarch with water. This helps thicken up your jam. I added 1 tablespoon of cornstarch with 1.5 tablespoons of cool or room temp water. Heat a medium wok or pot on high, then add in your blended raspberry and cook this until you start to see a simmer, then turn down the heat down to medium. Add in 2 teaspoons of sugar and constantly stir this until it reduces slightly. On medium heat, you'll notice that your mixture will start to bubble more. Once this happens, you're going to add in your mixture of cornstarch and water and make sure to mix very well, otherwise this cornstarch will clump up. You're going to continue mixing and cooking this until it reduces by 1/4. Continue cooking your jam until it is reduced by 1/4 and then turn off the heat. Place your jam into a separate bowl and let it cool completely. I like to place my jam into the refrigerator to cool completely and to speed up the cooling process. Once the jam does cool, it does thicken up just slightly more. Next, let's make the lychee buttercream. First, you're going to add the unsalted butter at room temperature. This is 1/2 cup. You're going to turn your speed on to number 4 until the butter forms a smooth and pale yellow color. Next, you're going to add in 1.5 cup of confectioner's sugar. Turn the mixer on to stir to mix the dry and wet ingredients together. Once the dry ingredients become wet, increase the speed up to number 6. Next, add in your lychee flavoring. I'm adding in 2 teaspoons. If you're adding liquid flavoring, you may need to add less, about 1 teaspoon. It depends on the type and brand that you have. I honestly really like this brand for lychee flavoring. Optional is to add 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh blended raspberries. Turn your speed back on to speed number 4 and mix these until well incorporated. When your buttercream is all ready, you're going to remove this and place it into a piping bag with a piping tip of your choice. I'll be using this piping tip. It is a Tekel Sultan tube with protruding cone. I really like this tip because it creates a really pretty ridge and a center for the filling. This is how I pipe my raspberry lychee macarons. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.